And I think it's really good to do this in the second week, because the first week, let's be honest, how were you feeling last week? Good morning. Good evening, Marina. Welcome. How are you feeling last week? And how are you feeling this week? Because I find that first week back a little bit sluggish. So I always let myself off the hook. So whatever kind of New Year's resolutions, I don't do New Year's resolutions, but whatever kind of crazy goal you had in mind that you feel you've not hit yet, don't worry. Okay, let's start from scratch. And I'm going to go through my kind of way of approaching change. And I'll come on to change in a second. So that's why I'll let us off the hook for the first week. And then we go, right, you know what? Actually, I do really need to change something. It could be how you're feeling. It could be you've got a specific goal that you've got. It could be your thought patterns. And I'll go through all of these, okay, as we go through. You felt like you were drowning last week, Rue. I know, right? There is such a weird time of year, and then January is all sort of, it's quite dark and it's confusing, and we're beating ourselves up on things, and it doesn't have to be like that. Okay, so this is all about empowerment. I'm always about the how. Okay, it's about brainstorming. Well, how else can we do it? This is a coaching technique. It's not about if, it's about when and what. Okay, and this is where I'm going to draw out your creativity, but I'm going to go through that. Each day is something slightly different. So it dawned on me, talking about time, because it has been quite a challenging year, hasn't it? And I think many of you who follow me in the tribe know that I've had a challenging year myself. I think we all have. I don't think that you can really get away with it. And it's just really interesting how time flies and your perception of the year. And when I look back, the tribe itself, good evening, Barbara, lovely. When I look back, I've only had the tribe open for 1.5 years. I can't even believe that. And I can't believe how long it took me to open the tribe, because I've been doing this business for 7 years now. I've been back in the UK for 7 years. For those of you that don't know me, a little bit of a background. So I was in corporate learning and development for 13 years. I lived in Dubai for 8 of those years, traveled all around the world. I worked a lot with change management, with transition, my favorite word, transformation, these kind of things, emotional intelligence, leadership development, so on and so forth, and train the trainer. So I did a lot of enabling other people to do something that I do, which is actually what I do now with other wellbeing practitioners. So when I came back, I was completely burnt out, actually. And part of the reason I came back was because I burnt out. I ended up with adrenal fatigue. I had high levels of anxiety. I still get anxiety from time to time. I have a really great ability to overwhelm myself. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. Welcome, Melody. I'm just reading some of your comments now. Oh, bless you. Thank you, Rue. Absolutely lovely to see your progress, and also your honesty and your authenticity when it doesn't always go to plan. Because you know what? As soon as we accept this, we actually start to live a better life. One of my pain points or bugs is that somehow we have this impression that we're supposed to be perfect. And even those of us in the wellbeing industry, that we're supposed to be all peace and light all the time. And actually, it's not like that. Life is not like that. And whether it's something that hits you from the outside in, or whether it's something that's coming up within you, something is going to jiggle that stuff about inside and unbalance you. So part of it is accepting that you're going to fall off the wagon, you're going to not hit your goals sometimes. And then the key, and I'm coming on to this later, the key is recognizing what happens when you slip, what went on, allowing yourself to do that, and then figuring out how to get yourself back on top. And this is the self-awareness. This is, yes, acceptance, self-awareness, and continuous growth. So I set up 7 years ago, and I used to do a lot of weekly yoga classes. I used to do hypnotherapy, NLP, Indian head massage, Reiki master, all these different things I still love. Now I integrate them into the business, which is mainly retreats, it's events, it's the membership club. And so, as I say, I focused a lot on change, and it's something that's really interesting to me, because we're constantly changing, aren't we? We can't do anything about that. We're always in transition. We're always either moving house, or we've changed a partner, or the children are growing up, or we've changed, our hormones are changing, we've changed job, The seasons are changing. Change is just happening all around us all the time. So if we can get better at change, then we can be more peaceful more often. Okay, so that is one of my main points. So the mood boost also just gives you a little bit of a taster of what I do in the membership club. I'll talk to you a bit more about that on Sunday, and also phase 2 of the club. So even the members don't know what's occurring in phase 2. So I'm really excited to share with you on Sunday that, plus the prizes. Before I get deep down into the session of today, let me just run you through how this whole mood boost works, so you know what's going on logistically, because you might have seen the post, but you might be thinking, what on earth is this all about? So every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, I'm going to be live at 7:30. Tonight's a bit of a longer one, and then it gets a little bit shorter, and then we have a break on Friday, we have a break on Saturday, and then Sunday night, once again at 7:30, we come together. This is all on replay as well, okay? So you don't have to be there live if you can't make it. On Sunday, we're going to gather everything that we've been doing for the whole week and embed it into a deep hypnotherapy, NLP, subliminal deep dive. And I'll talk to you a little bit about the subconscious in a minute. That is what my session tonight is all about: the subconscious mind, habits and change, and how to think about them. So every night, 7:30. And then what I will do is around 8:45 p.m., I'm going to put a post that summarizes the whole session. Okay, that'll be a still image of the session, reminding you what the task is. So every day there's a little task, very, very little task, because this is all about baby steps. And what you will find is that if you allow yourself to just slightly have a baby step and then another baby step, you will see how far you have come. The one thing that I've learned about myself and any clients in the past, and lots of people that I know, is that when you set something too high, you do one of two things. You either don't start at all because it's just so overwhelming that you just think, I'll never be able to do that. Or you start, but you give up halfway because it's just too big of a monster. Now, if you want to know a little bit more about the spirals, the upward and downward spiral, and how to get out of them, there's a blog on my website about spirals. It's actually tips and techniques for anxiety. So I'd really recommend that you look at that if you do, experience anxiety from time to time, and how you get yourself out of it. So that's something a little bit different. So with the new, so that's the logistics. Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7:30. And then Sunday, finalise 7:30 with the prizes, with the information about the club and what's happening with phase 2. It's all on replay till the end of January. But to get the competition, to win the prizes, what you need to do is, in that post that I'm going to post every day, you write your answers. And this, it's not just about the competition. What we're really doing here is making you accountable to yourself and the people in the tribe as well. Because it's been known, there's research been done, that if you write something down, it's more likely going to happen. So that's why we're doing that. Now, if you're watching this on the website and you're not on Facebook, you can do the same thing. Just send me an email anytime between Thursday and Sunday after all the tasks are done, and just tell me task 1, 2, 3 and 4 and your answers, and I'll submit you into the competition. Okay, so that's all the logistics. Let's get a little bit further into today. So a challenging year we have had. New things bring new challenges, bring new opportunities, and it also brings pain, doesn't it? Okay. Now, if you look back at any of your biggest growth moments in your life, whether it's personal or professional, you will realize that it was linked to some amount of pain. It's something that was either out of your comfort zone, something quite traumatic, or something medium, okay, of discomfort level. On a 0 to 10 level, there's some kind of discomfort that is going on that elevates your growth, your consciousness, your frequency, your understanding of yourself, the world, and other people. Okay, so this is what I call doing the work, okay, because lots of us, it's very natural. We want to take the pill that makes us feel better or lose weight, or we want the quick answer. We want someone to tell us exactly what we need to do. But the work is really, really going within. It's all about self-awareness. And when I say the work, It also means looking at stuff that you're not comfortable with, including parts of yourself, okay? Including other people and their reflection of yourself in those other people. It's looking at behaviors. It's really outing and being honest with yourself about how exactly you are feeling and what you want to feel, because sometimes we bury those things really super deep, okay? So it's this authenticity about yourself. So if you don't kind of get into that and you just skim across the surface, what I find is, and I say this a lot, it's almost like a background murmur where there's a light flickering. It's kind of annoying, but you get used to it. Or it's like an air conditioning unit or a fridge freezer that's broken. It's a murmur in the background, but eventually you ignore it. But if that was fixed, if that was taken away, or someone's doing construction outside your house and then you get used to it and then it stops and you're like, oh my goodness, this is so nice, this is so peaceful. So it doesn't mean that if it's really strong in terms of the discomfort that it's worse or better, because actually something that's mildly bugging you but has been there for a long time can be just as damaging. You imagine when there's a drip, dripping, how it can corrode a stone, how it can corrode parts of the house. Little bits can also just chip away at your soul as well. So don't discard anything when you're looking at what is it that I'm feeling and what is it that I want to feel. And that is what the task is going to be around tonight. And you might not have any idea right now. You might not even know what you're feeling. You might certainly not know what you want to feel, and that's okay. I have some questions that I'm going to take you through, and I'm going to ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, and you just pick the number. Don't think too much about it, just pick the number, and that will help you to understand at least where you are. Then we're going to write our transformation statement. So I'm at A, and I want to be at B. So it's a typical going from A to B in terms of a journey. But what I want to remind you about is it's never as smooth, clean sailing as that, is it? Okay, our expectations are very much, yeah, I'm going from A to B. But in reality, if you think about you're going on the road traveling, there can be roadblocks, there can be accidents, you could run out of fuel, your child could puke up in the car. There are so many different barriers that you can't even predict. So actually, I look at personal development and growth, or even a transformation statement, as this particular flower or bud is blooming and blossoming and opening. Okay, it's an opening rather than a kind of direct approach. And I'll be talking about progress in just a minute as well. I've got just a couple of diagrams that I want to show you. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're really kind of acknowledging that the work is looking at it, it's doing it, it's sitting down and it's thinking. Otherwise, you're just skimming across the surface. So this week is not skimming, it's tiny baby steps. And the fact that you're already here is massive, because you've already made a decision in your subconscious mind. And according to hypnotherapy training, you're already halfway there. Okay, so well done. Even if you kind of pop off and you come back and you pop off, it's a start, and that is at least something really to be proud of. So one of my favorite quotes is, everybody wants sunshine, nobody wants rain, but we can't have a rainbow without a little pain. Okay, so when pain comes along, as awful as it is, if we can just utilize it to find out what's going on, to inquire, to be inquisitive, to contemplate, then we can really get to know ourselves. And when we get to know ourselves, we can make the right decisions for us. And when we make the right decision for us, we become empowered, we become confident, we can become peaceful more often, happier more often. Get yourself out of that hole more easily. Doesn't mean you won't fall into it, trust me, but you will find those techniques and you'll know what works for you regardless of what anybody else has to say. So yes, advice is wonderful. Nostalgic advice or experience or books or people like myself is all really useful, but actually you can decide yourself, okay, that resonates with me or it doesn't resonate with me. And that is like truly getting to know yourself. And this links in with my definition of mindfulness. So my definition of mindfulness is, it's in 3 parts. 1, press pause. always press pause. Like one of my favorite slogans for the company is permission to press pause. And I talk about this because I spent so many years not doing that. And that's how I burnt out. And I'm not saying I'm exempt from that. I do feel it's part of my character. I feel it's part of my type. I'm a Leo. I'm a fiery person. I'm also a Pitta in terms of Ayurvedic constitution in the yoga philosophy, all sorts of stuff. So I have to manage my action orientated approach to life. Okay. So I press pause when I feel like I'm running around like a headless chicken, when I feel like my life's out of balance in some way, when I feel like overwhelmed, when I get any symptoms of anxiety, such as heart palpitations, insomnia, irritability, so forth. And I go, hang on, you've got all the tools, you know there's something amiss here. And then I check in with myself. What's really going on? There's so many different ways. This number 2. There's so many different ways to check in with yourself. There's psychometric tests, at a glance. There's checking your breathing. There's checking if you're holding tension in your body. There's reading something. This is part 2. Are you a high sensation seeking, highly sensitive? I am a highly sensitive person. Yes. And I think a lot of people in this group are as well. Yeah, I would say yes. Yeah, I love life. I guess I'm kind of a person where I want to do everything, but I've learned the hard way that is absolutely not possible. So I'm sure you've probably got some similar feelings around that as well. So your third one, so pause, check in with yourself, make a choice. You have to make the choice. And it's like Eckhart Tolle would say, whenever you find yourself the victim, and I always quote this one, it's one of my favorite ones, you either try to influence it, right? Try to make change, or you try to accept it. And let me remind you that accepting something, someone, or a situation is not suppressing your emotions and pushing it down and pretending that you're okay with it when you're not. A true acceptance is when you're like, do you know what? It doesn't even bother me. I'm cool. Like, how authentic are you being with that? Or leave. All else is madness, is what he says. So because I'm an action-orientated person, when it comes to if I'm out of balance, I have to then go, right, okay, what's going on? What do I need to do? Yes, Michelle's, yes, and an empath, exactly. So the empath can be twofold. It can be you're picking up on emotions. Don't forget, I've got that video on empaths and adrenal fatigue. If anybody wants that, I'll send you the link. That's another free webinar. It's twofold as empaths because it's one, absorbing the energies and the frequencies and the feelings, and then on the other hand, it's how we focus and get attached to what we think about other people's feelings and emotions and embed them into our emotions. So yeah. Okay, so when you do a choice for yourself, 1, you pause, B, you check in with yourself, 3, you make a choice that's right for you. So this is where my practical side comes in. So I guess I like to figure out a big question, which is how? How? And a lot of people ask me the same thing, and I'm like, I'm glad you asked, because yes, the answer to that could be quite abstract because it's very specific to you. But one of my questions is always how? So when it comes to mindfulness, we say to ourselves, we all intellectually understand that it's all about trying to live in the now. And if we go too far forward and if we obsess too much about the future, it can bring anxiety, right? If we obsess too much about the past and we come into regrets and we feel bad and we feel depressed. So we know it's all about trying to be a little bit more middle, okay? And this is the Buddhist philosophy, where it's about always finding that middle ground, because we are living in a dualistic universe where we've got one extreme to the other in every single thing that we do. Masculine, feminine, hot, cold, sun, moon. Overdoing it, not doing anything at all. Overwhelm, lethargic. We have opposites in everything. So it's about trying to bring it a little bit more centered. So we know it's about trying to live in the now, but in reality, it's like, tell me how. And obviously it comes with practice, and there's all sorts of different answers to that. And what I try to do in everything that I teach is look at that how in reality. Practically speaking, how can we find more peace? How can we stop thinking and obsessing about the future? How do we stop our minds worrying about other people and taking on things as an empath, for example? So that is some of the things that we're going to be doing. And tonight is all about this subconscious. So that's the kind of intro. And I've got one thing that I want to talk you through tonight, and then I'm going to leave you with the task. So some of you will have seen this before. I'm going to just bring it to the side. I just scooch up a little bit. Okay. I don't know whether this is coming out backwards. So let me just tell you what it says. It says consciousness at the top. So that's your cognitive thinking mind, your normal thinking mind. You know, I'm going to go to the shop now and buy some milk or whatever. Then at the bottom, it says primal. And then you've got a plus symbol and a minus symbol, okay, and a line across the top. So this was what we got taught in hypnotherapy, is the theory of the mind. What we're saying here is that 12% is your actual conscious mind, and a whopping 88% is your subconscious. So it's also 9,000 times stronger than your conscious mind. So when we think about changing habits, right, and reaching a goal, when you're trying to just work with that small percentage, it's definitely not impossible. I've changed habits without, connecting with my subconscious, but it's just a little bit harder. That is why on Sunday, I'm going to take you into a deep meditation and embed what your affirmations are. And I'm going to help you with the affirmations as we go through this week. Well, first we need to decide where you are and where you want to be. And then by Sunday, you'll be ready to embed your affirmations deep into your subconscious. So that line across the top, that is called the critical filter. So up to the ages of 8 years old, we develop our understanding of the world. So, you know, about other people, about life, about how men interact with women, how women interact with men, the woman's role, society. We learn, we watch everything, okay, and we absorb, as you know, like a sponge, because it's about survival. So you have to believe everything that you are shown, told, and experience, because why would you not? It's about survival. When you get to about 8 years old, you start to kind of step out of this hypnosis that you've been in all this time, and you start to kind of move into a different way of thinking. So what happens over those years? Obviously, you've got your primal as well. Okay, so your primal is all about, okay, let me just talk a bit about primal. Have you ever wondered why you can't change a habit sometimes, or on some days you can and some days you can't? One of the reasons for that is because the primal response in our brain does not like change. Okay, it doesn't like change because change means danger. So actually it's trying to hang on to the familiar. So it's always trying to sabotage your decisions to change, even though the world is always changing. Annoying, isn't it? If you've ever listened to Mel Robbins, she talks about the 5-second rule, that you can actually get ahead of your primal thinking. So for example, if you wanted to get up at 7 instead of 7:30 and your alarm goes off, if you get up before 5 seconds, then you've beaten the actual primal instinct that kicks in and tells you it's not safe, because change is not safe. So I could go into so much more about the primal, because you've got your fight and flight and everything else. But what I want to look at is actually what's going on in terms of our positive experiences and our negative experiences, and why reinforcement of positive new ways help to reset and build new neurological connections in the brain. Okay, and each positive reinforcement will make it stronger. And this is just something really interesting to know as you embark on making a change. As I say, I love change. So talking about change and learning about change and helping companies with their teams with change, especially through lockdown, done a lot of work like that. So sometimes there's 2 dots here. I've just put example of 2 dots. You can consciously remember some negative experiences, and you can consciously remember some positive experiences. So that usually means it's quite a strong emotional reaction, something quite strong, whether that's a positive or a negative. If you can consciously remember that, because there's 88% going on here. Everything that you've ever learned, seen, done, felt is all stored in your subconscious forever. Okay, it doesn't go. So if you were to remember everything, it'd be the equivalent of like living in a library that's the size of a football pitch, and you'd be able to remember every single, not just every single book, but every word that was written in every single book. It's not always relevant. Some of it stays in your subconscious as a little messenger to tell you, those type of people are bad, or supermarkets are scary, and it just becomes a belief. These experiences develop into beliefs, and that's why limiting beliefs can stop us reaching our goals. And we're doing limiting beliefs on Thursday. Now, there's also lots of different things in our memory that we can't remember, okay, that could also be really positive or really negative. And that's why when you go under the subconscious, you can retrieve some of these things and rewire them, okay? How? So let me give you an example. I'm going to use the supermarket one. Let's say that you're small, you're 4 or 5 years old, you're in the supermarket with your parents or one of your parents, and you trip up and fall, okay? You hurt yourself. B, you look up and there's a scary man or woman. Let's just say man. He's wearing glasses and he's bald-headed. Okay, doesn't mean anything. But the child makes an association with the supermarket, the fall, the guy, and especially at that age when they can't really, understand and comprehend everything. And they decide that it could be either supermarkets are scary or men with glasses and a bald head. Okay, something that is associated with it, right? And that's why sometimes we can have panic attacks without knowing why, because it's a trigger. It could be a certain song that was playing at the time. It can trigger us. So next time the child either sees another man with, it could go two directions. It could be another bad experience in a supermarket, like they get lost and they're like, second time now, supermarkets are really bad places. And then they could, let's say, for example, they got to the till and their parent forgot their money and they flipped out and they observed the mum really stressed and scared at the checkout. And they were like, I do not like these supermarkets. The first time it happens, could just, probably just, if it's not too big a deal, it's forgotten about in the subconscious, right? Second time, it's like, there's a pattern here. It's reinforced. Third time, cemented, supermarket, scary, don't go. And that might develop later in life as having social anxiety, but you don't know why, because it's not that obvious. Now, sometimes you can have something that's so traumatic that you remember it, and it only needed to happen once for you to have this kind of fear, right? Now, that child also could have gone down a different road. They could have seen another guy with glasses with a bald head, and he could have been having an argument with somebody, forgotten about the supermarket, but focused on the particular person and thought, bald men with glasses are not nice people. And then the third time it's cemented, okay? So that's how things develop. And that's how growing up, what you do then is that's how you have your beliefs. And sometimes you don't even know where they come from. And other times it's from other people. So it's observing, it's learned behavior, it's what you've been told over and over again. And that's why some of our self-sabotaging thoughts are not actually our own, okay? In NLP training, neuro-linguistic programming, one of the things that we did a lot of was we asked ourselves, whose words are they? So when you're listening to somebody and you're catching patterns, which is what NLP is all about, and you're saying, I'm hearing that you've said this, I shouldn't do that. That's really stupid. You've mentioned stupid 6 times in that last conversation. Whose words are they? And you have an aha moment and you're like, oh. Now, when you become aware, that's the beauty. The self-awareness brings the discomfort. You check in, you make a new choice, and you start to rewire it. Now, the good news is you rewire it the same way as it happened. So you have one positive experience. We also call it in therapy exposure therapy. You have a second one which reinforces it, and you have a third one which cements it. The closer together they are, the better, but you can always just keep reinforcing it. And sometimes, sadly, we need lots of reinforcement. Okay, that's all right, but we sometimes just need to borrow the words of somebody else or somebody else's confidence until we can really truly embed it and believe it. So I wanted to just go through that with you, because when we come to today, we're talking about what is it that we feel, what is it that we want to feel. So it is a journey, it is a blossoming, it is A to B. Now, of course, that is not smooth sailing. So keep that in mind, because I want to share you what progress really looks like. It is not this beautiful straight line or curve that we think it is, which is drawn. It actually looks like this. Now, this is my second image that I want to share with you. And it's actually how progress looks. And this is what I read in a book about adrenal fatigue when I first started to heal back from adrenal fatigue. And this is also really important. So the bottom line says time, and this is progress. Whenever we start anything new, imagine like a new diet or an exercise regime or even a job. We start off really motivated and we're like, this feels ace. Okay, we're learning new stuff, so we're getting dopamine hits, from reaching our targets and so on. Naturally, we'll have a plateau, right? Okay, now, if you don't even acknowledge that there's a plateau, there's a problem here, because let's just use, healthy food as an example, because you might be doing it for energy purposes, or you might be doing it because you want to lose a bit of weight for whatever reason, and you stop losing a little bit for a while, and then you get down on yourself. So you've got to see that there's a natural plateau, because you go straight up so fast. There's just a natural plateau. Rest in that plateau, right? And then you'll get another kick, you'll get another boost, and you'll go up again. Maybe there's another plateau. Now, if you start self-sabotaging at this point, which is limiting beliefs, which we're coming to on Thursday, then you could likely drop, okay? And in a lot of cases, you probably will drop. And it's almost like you have to kind of expect that there's going to be a drop so that you can get yourself back up again. Now, when there's a drop, I've got these circles here. I'll come back to them. Eventually, you will get yourself back up again. Okay, because usually what happens is you know too much by then. You won't let yourself go as far back as you have done before. So once you get back up, it's a perfect opportunity when you're feeling good to reflect. What happened here? What the hell happened? Why did I just go massively downhill? Let me use that now as a learning. This is true self-awareness. This is real personal development. This is really doing the work. If you want to make massive changes in your life, you have to get good at reflecting and looking back and being okay with your so-called mistakes, which are actually just part of the normal progress curve. And looking and going, right, okay, brilliant. I'm staying on track. I'm getting up here. I don't care how many blips, dips, plateaus there are. This is my goal and I'm doing it. So what the hell did I do here? Let me learn from it. Then we can go to the bottom. Well, what did I do to get myself back up? Now that comes back to the spirals, the positive spiral and the negative spiral, which I've already mentioned is part of my blog in the tips and techniques for anxiety that you'll find on the website. So we can learn what to do when we're on a plateau as well. So these are really important points. One thing that I want to point out here, if you do start to go really high and you're making really good progress and you have another big dip, just remind yourself that you are not here, because there's this massive progress that you've made. And this is just something to implant into your subconscious now to keep you, even if you just did an image like this and you stuck it on your wall, and next time you feel down, which you will, and you won't feel positive when you feel down, but you look up and you see this image, you'll be like, yeah. Because when we feel down, we forget, okay? We don't have that hope. So it's something to remind you. Okay, so I'm getting onto the task now, and then I'll leave you for tonight. So the task that I'd like you to do, it's in two parts. One is to answer the questions on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, I'm coming to that. You don't have to answer them right now. As long as you put your answer in the post that will go out around 8:45, You can do it any day this week. It doesn't need to be tonight. And part 2, which is the more important part, is what is your transformation statement? So that means I am going from what to what, and I've got some examples for you. I've also got some examples which will be written down in the summary post. So you don't have to remember any of this, but I do need to open my laptop right now so that I can read these questions out to you. So if you've got a notepad and pen, grab that now. And I want you to ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, I feel amazing. No, that's absolutely fine. I'm completely 10 out of 10 on that one. Or 0, no. Absolutely, as you said earlier, drowning, horrendous, not good. Okay, so 10's being really good, 0 being absolute crap. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10 or 0 to 10, how do you feel about your self-confidence? Don't overthink it. Go with the first thing that comes into your mind, because we overthink a lot of things. I'm going to be going quick with these questions. 2, confidence in the world. 3, confidence in your work or career, or whatever you do. If you don't do your work, if you do voluntary or you support family. 4, happiness with your life in general. 5, satisfaction in your kind of home surroundings, your setup, your environment, outside and inside. Just give it a number. 6, happiness in your love life, including those that choose to be on their own. Be honest. We're coming to tomorrow, which we're going to be talking a little bit about how we categorize our life and what areas need a little bit of an improvement, what areas maybe we could cut back on a little bit. And that is something really interesting. So don't worry about your answer. There's always a solution. 7, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being amazing, 0 being crap, how much time do you dedicate to self-care or me time or relaxation? So 10 being, oh my gosh, I've got the best balance, or 0 being, what self-care? Are you serious? On a scale of 1 to 10, what about your food and exercise? And again, if one is worse than the other, just average it, or you could do 2 separate. This is about how you figure out what you're feeling now. Okay, this is outing what is really going on in your life, and you may need some more time to go through this. 8, fun and laughter in your life. Okay, so that's just giving you a little bit of an insight which ones or one is like the lowest number, or which is the one that's maybe even not that low, but you've got a concern about it. Doesn't have to be the lowest one. Which one is jumping out at you where you're thinking, oh, actually, that's not good. I'd like to change that. Or you might already have an idea of what you want to go from and to. So if that is what you're feeling, and maybe you can list it. Okay, maybe you can say fatigue. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. Maybe you're feeling. There were 9 questions. Yeah, I like to do a little bit different instead of 10. You can add a 10 though if you want. So in the list when I post it, there'll be 8. It's just that I added an extra one there. I split one of them into 2 questions, so there's 9 instead of 8. That's it. Yep. Don't worry though, they'll all be written down. So if you have missed one, you can go back to it. Okay. So whatever's kind of giving you a bit of a tingle there, please, whatever you're feeling, do not worry, because this discomfort that you're feeling at looking at it is the beginning. Okay. This is where we go, all right, okay, how? The how is going to come. Don't worry about that for now. We're just setting the intention of what we want without going ridiculous. Okay, so if you've got adrenal fatigue and you want to go from adrenal fatigue to an abundance of energy, Absolutely. But you would have to also have a bit of a time scale in your mind for that, because it can take years to heal from something like that. But at the same time, it's you and how you set your intention. If you're feeling that you're in a loveless marriage, you want to be in a marriage full of joy and laughter, that can be in your present marriage, okay? Or it can be that you set the intention that whoever and whatever, okay? So start to have a think about what are you feeling now? What is the main one? And again, if you're not entirely sure, tomorrow's exercise will help you to hone down on this a little bit more. So you might end up changing it, and that's okay. It's not set in stone. Just start to think about what is your A, and I've got some examples for you. So, as I say, it could be something like an energy. I've got some examples here. It could be going from stressed to peace. It can be lethargic to energized. And then I've got some specific ones that I want to read out. Lethargic to motivated, financially limited to abundant, from unfit and unhealthy to thriving, fit and healthy, from self-deprecating and self-sabotage to self-cheerleader and empowered warrior. That's one of my favorites. That is mine. Please take it. From lonely to connected, okay? Because a lot of these things are a state of mind. Sometimes we choose that, okay? There's a difference from feeling lonely to feeling alone. So we can choose to be with people. We can choose to connect. From unmotivated to boundless positive joy. From disappointed to motivated. There's all sorts of different words, and words are really important, especially with NLP and hypnotherapy. And that's why I want you, by the end of this week, to give me your specific words, because this is what's going to help embed right into the subconscious, and it will just be drank, it'll just be absorbed right up. So again, it doesn't have to be a word, it can be a sentence. For example, lack of time for myself in all ways, to putting myself first more often. And maybe some of these sit a little bit more, a bit better with you than being so bold. Go with what feels right. Another example, from feeling of a victim mindset to being proactive and empowered. That takes a lot of courage to admit that sometimes you can feel or play the victim. It takes a lot of courage to admit the dark shadow sides of our personalities, which we all have. And that brings me back to authenticity. Another example, from being disconnected from society to stepping out, whether online, on the phone, or in person where I can. So I encourage you to have a real kind of think about this. And that is, again, doing the work. You could sit and journal tonight. You could really, you can take this mood boost as far as what you are ready for. And don't worry, if you're feeling like I'm just dabbling today, I'm just having a little look. As I say, this will all be on play until the end of January. So you've got time. Don't rush it if it doesn't feel right. Let me look through. Oh, brilliant. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. Empowered warrior. Yes, warrior women. I know there's warrior men too, but Rue, oh my goodness, this is making me feel better already. Yes! Brilliant. Okay, so sometimes you just have to borrow somebody else's motivation and inspiration for a while. I do it. Me and my well-being friends help each other out. We all need it. It's almost like, stuff that you already know as well a lot of the time. But when you're accountable, and this is what works great with the membership club, because it's constant reinforcement, that reinforcement I was telling you about, I am constantly embedding into the subconscious this empowered mindset, this making the right choices, this allowing yourself to chill if you want to chill, to choose the right things for you, to sit and watch a bit of Netflix if you want without feeling guilty, all the stuff. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to post this tonight, the post with the reminders. Have a good think about it. Tomorrow night, we're going to be doing the NLP Life Wheel. Some of you might have done it before. It's an organic tool. What I mean by that is it's evolutionary. It's not stagnant. It's always moving. So it's time to have another look at your NLP Life Wheel. You might even divide it completely different to what you've done in the past as you recategorize how you see your life from a bird's eye view point of view. It really reduces overwhelm. Brilliant. Oh, yeah, being your own cheerleader. Yes. A massive step in the right direction. Perfect. Okay, so let's reinforce this throughout the week. And by the end of Sunday, if you stick with me, you are going to be feeling massively different. If you're already feeling more alive already, imagine how you're going to be feeling on Sunday. If you're not, don't worry. Don't push yourself. Go at your own pace. Melody, love that little bit of work. Oh, bless you. Yeah, some clear messages coming through. You're most welcome. Wednesday, we're going to get a little bit more into the how, right? We've got to get practical about this. It's not just airy fairy, abstract. We've got to start looking at how. And this is my thing. This is my thing. I don't want to hear someone's got this, I want to do that, you know, and then ... How? Tell me how you're going to do it. Okay. And then finally, we're going to look at our limiting beliefs on Thursday. Let's really start to look at what could cause those drops, what could cause those plateaus, and let's be ready for them. And then Sunday, embedding it deep into the subconscious, reinforce, cement, and then you're off. Okay. And then you know where I am if you need constant reinforcement with that mindset, as we all do from time to time. I'll tell you more about the club on Sunday. Thank you so much. I've been looking forward to this. Is one of my favorite things to do. Yay, Diane! Lots to think about. Don't overwhelm yourself. All you need to do is answer those questions. You don't even have to answer those questions. It's just to give you an idea of where you are. Remember the tree metaphor, okay? The tree metaphor is you've got all these different leaves and you think, oh my goodness, I've got so many things to work on. It's like, oh God, where do I start? We overwhelm ourselves before we begin. They're all connected to a main area that you want to work on, okay? Which is all connected to one main thing. Try and get to that core. Try and get to the one today that's the most important. And I promise you, even if you start here, you start on one, the other ones will come down because it's all connected to your core. Even if you start on one little leaf, it will impact all the others. And we'll talk about that tomorrow night. So the only thing you need to do is tell me your transformation statement. That is the task one. What is your transformation statement? I would like to go from to today, this week, in January, okay? Not everything that you want to work on, the one that's the most important for you right now. Go with your gut. Maybe it'll come in a dream. Maybe it'll come to you tomorrow. So that's all for tonight, everybody. And there will be meditations intermittently put through this week as well to help you to discover things. And thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. And I will see you tomorrow night. Please feel free to add comments on replay and ask me questions. I will keep an eye on the messages. Lots and lots of love. Bye for now.